Good day, and thanks for stopping by GardenStateWeather.com, New Jersey and the Northern Mid-Atlantic region's weather news portal. I'm forecaster Robert Smith, and this is Wednesday, October 12th, 2011, daily video forecast discussion. And yes, folks, rain is on the way. Start things out this morning across the New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, Northern Mid-Atlantic forecast region. And it's a cloudy morning and rain is on the way. Looks like on the radar that there's quite a lot of rain here, but in actuality, some of this rain, which is in the lighter greens here, is not reaching the ground yet. We call that virga. And that will change over the next couple of hours into this afternoon. It's going to take a little while for the atmosphere to moisten up from central New Jersey all the way into the New York City area. It may take till later today and even into this evening before we get more appreciable, measurable rain starting in this region. We'll explain why, or I will explain why in just a moment. This morning, temperatures are in the upper 50s to the lower 60s, pretty uniform with dew points already in that area too this morning. And this is some moderate rain now breaking out across near Wilmington and then into Lancaster. This is real rain here. The brighter yellows in here, this is real rain. And also just to our south here across the Virginias, this is rain, heavy, moderate rain now developing in this region. I'll explain all of this to you in just a second. First, to go over the watches and warnings here. We do have some coastal flood advisories here for portions from central coastal New Jersey all the way down to Atlantic City and parts of Delaware as well. And these advisories are for high tide cycles this morning. And that will pull in some wave heights actually, or actually water, which is about 1 foot above normal mean. So this could cause some minor coastal flooding in these regions here. More importantly is the small craft advisories all the way from Sag Harbor all the way down through the Delmarva and then points south and to the bay areas of the Delaware and the Chesapeake as well. And these small craft advisories in effect through this evening for east to southeast winds strengthening at 15 to 20 miles an hour or 20 knots this afternoon, a gust up to about 30 at times. And there's been some gusty winds here along the New Jersey coast this morning too. And seas building to 4 to 7 feet with that onshore flow. First thing I want to go over this morning is the Storm Prediction Center's mesoscale analysis, which is the RUC model, or rapid update cycle. It goes out to about 12 to 15 hours. This morning, just around 6 or 7 o'clock this morning, in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, these darker colors of green and the arrows represent the moisture transport in the middle levels of the atmosphere up to about 5,000 feet. The darker colors in here is where there's a lot more moisture content going on, and if we overlay that with the radar, you can already begin to see the heavier rain breaking out across western Pennsylvania and into Ohio. And that's because we have a northeast wind at the surface, and in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, the wind is veering to the south. So there's some kind of a frontal, mid to upper level, mid-level frontal boundary here that's developing, and that could be frontogenetically forcing the atmosphere for the air to pile up here. So that's where the moisture is rising, the air is rising here rapidly, and that's why we're seeing an outbreak of more heavier rain out in this area across the Ohio River Valley. We're also seeing some of that along and just ahead of the boundary now across central Pennsylvania, and this rainfall will continue also across the Virginias. All of this will start to congeal a little bit. This is an upper level disturbance at mid-levels at 8,000, about 5,000 millibars here across Kentucky, and this is going to scoot to the northeast. This is the 850 to 500 millibar wind crossovers. The red here indicates the winds at mid-levels, which is about 5,000 feet, coming in from the southeast here at about 20 to 40 miles per hour, or 40 knots here, especially in this region where the air is piling up, southwestern Pennsylvania down through Kentucky and portions of Ohio and Virginia. And the blue, which is the blue wind barbs, which is the 5,000 millibar level wind, that's about 20,000 feet up in the atmosphere, 19,000 feet or so. And this is an area where there's stronger rain developing because of the wind crossover. There's more vertical updraft here available for the winds to create the updrafts or the air parcels to create rain. And if we overlay that with the radar, you can basically see what's going on here. Now, the winds that you're not seeing here in this composite from the RUC model doesn't mean that the winds aren't from the east here. They certainly are, and the air is beginning to pile up. It's just that the winds here are not that significant the further north you go yet. But as this whole system begins to develop, and move to the northeast during today. The winds will strengthen out of the east and southeast, and the rain will eventually moisten up the mid and lower levels of the atmosphere, and rain will begin to reach the ground. This is the Mid-Atlantic water vapor loop overlaid with some parameters here, as we usually do. Mid-level, upper level, closed off low here across the Kentucky area. That's why we're seeing the higher cloud tops here. Sorry about that, got cut off there for a second. So upper level low across the Kentucky, Ohio area. This is producing a lot of lifting here, and that's where some heavier and moderate rain is falling here. Also across the south, where this just south of the boundary here, so we can find out, some rain and heavier rain falling out through the western Carolina mountains into Virginia here. Here's our surface warm front and surface low developing along the Carolina coast. So at the surface, this is a warm front that's going to be moving through our area, but in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, it's beginning to moisten up well in advance of this, and the east to southeast winds and the water vapor imagery indicating some of that moisture now beginning to spread in from the south, and gradually it's going to moisten up the atmosphere, so rain is on the way. Eastern U.S. water vapor shows our plume of moisture beginning to advect now from off the Atlantic, and a lot of this is going to remain offshore today. There is the upper low across Kentucky and Virginia this morning, and that is going to be spilling in and providing rain for northwestern central Pennsylvania and the Virginias and portions of this area here, the Carolina Mountains, throughout today. Probably just a raw day, an east wind, cloudy day here in the Jersey, New York City metropolitan area. Probably not going to get into a lot of rain here. Probably no rain at all throughout most of today. Just cloudy day. As this warm front and low approach during tonight, that's when the rain will probably be getting in here. It'll probably be still light, and most of the moderate to heavy rain will be back across northwestern Pennsylvania as the 850 millibar low moves in that direction, and so that's where the moderate to heavy rain is. We've got an upper level disturbance and cold front diving down through the upper plains now. Most of this energy still remaining out into the higher plains here, and this is actually going to be diving south and east and helping all of the moisture here with the surface low and all of this lifting along the Atlantic coast to move east, northeast, and out of the area by Thursday morning and Thursday night. So we could be getting into a slightly drier period, maybe not that much rain in many sections in some areas across Pennsylvania, and the mountains of the Poconos may get a half of an inch to an inch, but Friday probably would be a better day to watch, Thursday night and Friday, as this cold front moves in our direction and the chances of rain and showers increase. Forecast charts for this afternoon, we see the moderate rain, light to moderate rain here from the Virginias all the way into just around the Great Lakes region. Surface low pressure, one wave off the New Jersey and Atlantic coast, another surface wave consolidating over the Carolina area. Lighter rain chances in this general region, but the moderate to heavy rain well to the north and west of the area. And then as we get into tonight, the surface wave really starts deepening a little bit more. It's a weaker coastal low, but nonetheless it will pivot around and provide some light chances of rain across the Poconos, northwestern New Jersey into southeastern New York and in the city proper. And the warm front at the surface with the surface low still just to the south and east of the area. Weak high pressure building in the wake of this across the Virginias by later tonight. Here's our cold frontal now passage now developing across the central southern Canada with a surface wave here over the upper Midwest and a cold front all the way down through Texas. Main action for tonight and tomorrow is the light to moderate rain that will still be occurring across central Pennsylvania. General lighter rain chances here across anywhere from Connecticut all the way down through central and southern New Jersey, or just some drizzle left over here in this region as one surface wave moves offshore and the final surface wave here develops along the Carolina coast. As we finally get into tomorrow, one low now leaving, and that will leave us in an area where clouds may break up a little bit, but there could be some morning drizzle and patchy fog in this area tomorrow morning across the New Jersey, New York City metropolitan area terminals, upstate New York as well. And one final surface wave moving off the Virginia coast, probably exiting out to sea. Here comes our cold front and weak trough across the upper Midwest, moving very slowly and slightly weakening, but there's enough lift to produce showers in this area across the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest. Okay, where are we going after this into the weekend? Well, drawing pattern will be definitely seen now. Today, right now, I'm looking at the European model. I've looked at the GFS and a couple of the others. I'm gonna use the European for the middle and long range forecast to give you an idea of what the atmosphere is going to be doing over the next week. First of all, we start out with this morning and we get into 48 hours and then 96 hours here, and this would be for Saturday night. We see that on Saturday night, if we can go back here on Saturday night, we find that the storm system and the upper low that was over our area over the next 24 to 48 hours is now retrograding back inland over Hudson's Bay, Canada, and general west to east zonal flow here across the Great Lakes into the mid-Atlantic states. A ridge beginning to develop here across the western Canada and down through western United States. And this upper level low here across the Pacific here is probably a little bit suspect, but might not be completely correct. So we'll have to wait to see. But what the atmosphere is trying to tell us is that we're going to get a ridge here in the west and then a deepening trough in the east. If we go out to 144 hours, which is next to Monday night, we find high pressure building across the plains. Okay, here's our upper low cut off across Hudson's Bay, Canada. Still that ridge now across above normal mean heights across western Atlantic Canada, down through the Gulf Coast, down through the southwest. And basically, if we go ahead, this is the problem we're going to find for next week. Some of this energy that the model is indicating in this area on Monday night and Tuesday is going to cut into the trough and carve out a pretty deep trough as we get through into next Wednesday night. A deep trough and a cutoff low developing across the Appalachian Mountains, surface low pressure developing off the coast. The GFS model to some degree is doing the same thing, and we could have quite a significant rain event around here either Wednesday or Wednesday night or even possibly Thursday of next week. So the atmosphere is telling us that there's a couple of these disturbances and troughs that are developing in this La Nina pattern as we head into late October and early November, which is showing signs of keeping the atmosphere very active and volatile, and also much cooler than the pattern that we've been through over the last couple of weeks. I'll have more for you on tomorrow's broadcast. So for GardenStateWeather.com, I'm forecaster Robert Smith. You make it a good day. We'll see you again on Thursday.